Yes.
All right, it is 6 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order with standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Before we get started with our agenda, I would like to appoint a secretary, as our secretary is running a few minutes behind. So Julie, will you fill that role?
Yes.
Thank you. And moving on, we have 3 recommendations for hire. So we will start with Miss Rebecca Olson to bring forth her candidate.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Tonight I bring forth Mrs. Megan Sharp as a candidate for the part-day Little Hornet preschool lead teacher position. As with many individuals, Megan's path has been kind of winding and meandering, in which she acquired many of those life skills as well as her educational classroom experiences. She earned her bachelor's degree from Miami University in political science, but it was been her years within Williamston that she really demonstrated and found that passion for educating our youngest learners. So Megan began with Williamston as a neonate, quickly transitioned into the Kids Corner before and after school program, and then had been in the Little Hornets program as an assistant teacher. So those 5 years that she was in those positions just showed her dedication to the district, her ability to learn, and most importantly, that dedication to the families and children of our community. Most recently, for the 23-24 school year, she assumed that long-term substitute lead teacher role in the classroom in which she's a candidate for hire. Throughout this past year, she's demonstrated leadership qualities within her team, developed really strong and supportive relationships with her students and the families, and then really let that passion for being an educator shine through. She engaged in an interview process with questions that really drew out her philosophy of teaching, her knowledge of curriculum assessment, and then that understanding of early childhood. During the process, the panel unanimously agreed that she was the perfect candidate for this position. So the interview panel shared some of their feedback and just said that her respect and love for young children was truly genuine, really came from the heart, and was really ingrained in who she was. References from her mentor teacher said she is eager to learn and ask deep and reflective questions. She then incorporates it immediately into her practice. Other references said her collaborative and inclusive leadership style made them feel really comfortable in the classroom and really comfortable and confident in taking on that assistant educator role. So it's with very confidence that I bring forth Megan Sharp as the candidate for this position.
Any questions for Rebecca? All right, I'm going to take these one at a time, and then when we're done with our final candidates, then we will get up and do our congratulations. All right, do I have a motion for Ms. Megan Sharp?
Move that the Williamston Board of Education hire Megan Sharp to be a preschool teacher beginning with the 2024-25 school year.
Seconded.
First by Dave, second by Deb. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, congratulations. All right, next we have Miss Cassie Fander to bring forth 2 candidates for hire.
Good evening. I am asking that the board approve the recommendation to hire Catherine Frisky as an elementary music teacher at Discovery and Explorer Elementary. Catherine completed a rigorous interview process, including multiple interviews and conducting a music lesson with one of our kindergarten classrooms the last week of school. The interview panel was very impressed with Catherine's musical knowledge, her extensive background, and clear passion for teaching music. She will be joining us with a bachelor's degree in music education from Eastern Michigan University, a master's in music education from Kent State University. She also has experience as a vocal teacher, a music teacher at Brighton area schools, and then most recently, an on-air host and producer for Michigan Public Radio. References described her as a quick learner, extremely hardworking, creative, and a strong team member. Her past principal spoke to her dedication in instilling a love for music in all of her students, and that she was very gifted at making music a fun, class, and engaging environment. We look forward to welcoming Catherine to our elementary campus. Thank you.
All right, any questions for Cassie? All right, I will entertain a motion for hire of Catherine Frisk.
Make a motion that Williamston Community Schools Board of Education hire Catherine Frisky to be a teacher beginning 2024-2025 school year.
Second.
First by Julie, second by Dave. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, congratulations. Cassie, are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're just taking turns. We learned that in early childhood. So tonight, Cassie and I stand together to bring forth a candidate, Mrs. Kylie Densmore, for an early childhood behavior specialist position. So this is a new position created to support the needs of our youngest district learners at the preschool and Discovery schools. So this position is designed to be this proactive initiative to work with students, families, and teachers to build appropriate behavior skills and then respond with support plans when those higher, more challenging behaviors arise. So we were seeking a candidate with initiative, knowledge, someone with experience and expertise in behavior, someone who understands and respects the uniqueness of preschool as well as that early elementary learner. So essentially, we were looking for this unicorn. So we bring forth our unicorn today. We're confident in our candidate. Kylie has earned her bachelor's degree in sociology, youth studies from Central Michigan, and then a master's from University of Cincinnati in education, specializing in the foundations of behavior and analysis. I want to make sure I got that degree right. She is a board-certified behavior analyst and has other applicable certifications and trainings. She has worked in both clinical and school settings. Her most recent position was a district support specialist in Lansing School District, in which she supported students pre-K through 12. So Kylie engaged in a very extensive interview process that began with a panel of Cassie, myself, and the elementary social worker. And Kylie shined in her knowledge of behavior and demonstrated that warmth and compassion in her responses to supporting students. A second round was then conducted with an expanded panel. We invited teachers into the panel, and then various scenarios were presented, and it was evident that Kylie's methodology and understanding and responding behaviors matched the philosophy that we were looking for in Williamston. A third round interview was then conducted with district administration for further conversation.
I had the pleasure of speaking with 3 of Kylie's references, 2 former supervisors and a colleague and teacher that she worked closely with. All 3 had glowing recommendations and described Kylie as kind, compassionate, and having a heart of gold. Her former principal stated that Kylie had a gift for helping students and calming students down. And also stated that she was incredibly knowledgeable in early childhood behavior. A colleague and teacher noted that Kylie always came to meetings willing to share ideas and to try new things. And whenever a teacher was working with Kylie, that teacher always felt supported 100%. So we are really excited to be bringing this additional support to both of our buildings, and think that our staff and our students will benefit greatly.
Any questions for Rebecca or Cassie? All right, looking for a motion to hire Kylie Densmore.
Make a motion that we hire Kylie Densmore for the early childhood behavior specialist position.
Second.
Motion by Deb, second by Dave. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, congratulations, everyone. Good to see you guys. It's so exciting to welcome new faces, and you are welcome to stay for the whole meeting. However, we will not take offense if you depart the meeting whenever you would like. All right, moving on with our agenda. Are there any citizens that would like to address the board? This is the time for our first round of citizen comments. All right, seeing none, we will move on to celebrations with Adam.
Good evening, board members. This is our final board meeting of the 23-24 school year, so I want to just start and thank all of you for your ongoing involvement and support of the district, our students and staff, and look forward to starting another one here in a few weeks, at least for us. So a couple stories on the website. The first is our event team at the high school, which is a subset of our Math and Science Academy. In 2020 had completed a project. It's an automated robot that can move along the coastline and clean trash from beaches. Its event team, as you might recall, is a partnership with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And it's a grant-funded opportunity for our students at the high school to participate. In 2020, students applied for a patent, and last week we found out that it had gone through the process and been approved. So we put the story up on the site along with the link to the actual patent. We can go on and look at all the details of that project, which are extensive. And this is actually the second patent that our high school students and faculty have earned over the last, I would say, 6 or 7 years. So congratulations to all of them for their involvement, and obviously details up on the site. We talked about this at our last meeting, but we've got some photos online now of commencement. So again, appreciate all the work of our high school team to make that happen, and I really appreciate the involvement of our faculty this year in joining us up on stage where they should be. The LSJ also did a nice photo spread, so the link to that is also on the website, and appreciate them attending and taking those photos. 2 other quick notes. Baseball, as I know we were talking about at our previous meeting, made it to the Diamond Classic Finals, and it was a great game, probably one of the better high school baseball games I've ever seen. And so congratulations to them on an outstanding season. And also a note of thanks to the Kiwanis Club. We have the outdoor AED cabinet now installed and connected into the Ingham 911 system. And so that'll be available outside of the building in the event that youth sports or anybody else using the playground at the elementary campus before or after school has that emergency, they will be able to access that device. Those are celebrations for this evening, pending your questions.
Any questions for Adam? Yeah, such a bummer about the Diamond Classic, and then they literally repeated the same thing 2 nights later. So, but they had a great season.
They did.
All right, no other questions. We'll move on to educational updates. Is that Cassie or Michelle? Cassie. Okay. And Heather. Awesome.
Is this the clicker?
Yes.
Okay. Great. So Heather and I are very excited to be meeting with you tonight to discuss a professional learning program called Conscious Discipline. So we wanted to go over with you some key pieces of conscious discipline, a little bit, give you a little bit of the why behind our request for it, and then discuss with you a little bit of the professional learning plan. We really feel that this program is going to be key in supporting our staff as we continue to navigate and meet the social, emotional, and behavioral needs of our students. So yes.
So what is conscious discipline? It's not a curriculum, first and foremost. It's an approach. It's a way of doing business as a system, as a building, in your classroom, but then in the larger scheme of things across all the contexts in which children live and work. So it's a comprehensive multidisciplinary self-regulation program. And the key here is it's an adult first. It looks at the adult first. If we are regulated, then every interaction we have with students will have a better success rate. So it really focuses on strengthening the adults' competencies, their own social, emotional, and regulation competencies. It integrates social emotional learning, school culture, and discipline, and this has been a little sticky point. It's a sticky point for a lot of districts. You have these kind of separate silos, and this is a way of integrating that and getting everyone on the same page. So we look forward to doing that. It helps teachers and administrators build school systems based on safety, and I want to highlight not just physical safety, although that's a huge part of it in the way you set up your classroom, but also emotional and psychological safety and problem solving. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And that is in lieu of all these external rewards and punishments. So it's encouraging that intrinsic motivation. I'm sure there will still be buzz tickets and things of that nature, but really putting the onus on the student and the teacher that intrinsically we do good because we want to do good. We want to be good. So this is based on brain research. So the last slide before you saw 3 brains, and that's really its strength in my estimation because it brings neuroscience into the discussion. So if you look at any interaction that we have as humans, I'm probably a little bit in the survival state right now. Am I safe? Because I'm speaking in front of people. So any interaction we come to with humans, we're in one of 3 brain states. And this will teach our building, teach our teachers these 3 states and how to effectively deal with children as they arrive to us in one or all of those states in the context of a day, in the context of an hour, really, truly. So I think that is its strength, adult first and neuroscience as its backbone. It also creates systemic changes, as I alluded to at the very beginning. So this is a sweeping change. So everyone will be invited to this training. So it won't just be teachers. It will be paras. It will be any staff who is interested in having this training so that we can have consistency across the building and in language, in practices, and how we help children. So why conscious discipline of all of the things that it could possibly be? Why conscious discipline? Well, as I mentioned before, it is adult focused. So it starts with that adult. And it builds adult emotional intelligence. It's very difficult to teach a child a skill that we don't possess ourselves. Not impossible, but very difficult. So we want to be modeling those skills. We want to be embodying those skills so that children learn not from just what we say, but for how we handle ourselves. It also, as I alluded to before, creates consistency among all stakeholders, building-wide across all contexts. And again, conscious discipline is not a curriculum. There's not a single scripted lesson with an objective. The lesson itself is the teachable moments that happen all day, every day in a classroom and across on the playground, in the lunchroom. So that's the power of conscious discipline. It's not a curriculum, it's an approach.
So when looking at the needs of discovery and then looking at best ways to support not only our staff, but also our students as we're navigating meeting their social, emotional, and behavioral needs. We really wanted to really explain a lot of the reasons as to why we feel like conscious discipline is specifically a beneficial program for Discovery. So one really big piece to that is the number of new staff members that we've had since I've started. So I'm finishing up my 4th year at Discovery. We have had 15, not including our new hires today, 15 new teachers out of 26 of our teaching staff. So just over, almost that halfway point. And then I will also say, prior to me starting, there was also a pretty good chunk of new teachers that came through at that time too. So although a lot of those teachers come with some great experience, not all of us were there when a lot of the past work has been done in regards to the responsible thinking process or in regards to trauma-informed practices. So we really look at this as an opportunity to really get us all back on the same page. We have a lot of different experiences that we're bringing, and some very brand new teachers as well, and it allows us to all come from the same place and have the same consistent language and approach as well. Our teachers have specifically requested and have been asking for professional learning opportunities in this area, whether it be classroom management, discipline, rules and routines, trauma-informed practices. We've also experienced an increase in student behavior, also destructive and violent behavior at school. So we really are looking to conscious discipline to help as a way to prevent this from happening. We have also seen that we are getting a lot of students coming to us bringing a lot of trauma from their home life or for whatever experiences that they've had. And we really want to be setting our teachers up for success and how to best support our students. When I came and spoke to you in May in regards to our school improvement plan and our update, I talked to you a lot about the work that we have started with the responsible thinking process and tweaks that we made and a committee that we formed. And I really think the conscious discipline will play into and continue to guide us in that adjustment that we've been making. And then lastly, we've really seen an increase over the last 3 years in the amount of threat assessments that we've had to provide to our students. So in 2021-22, so 3 years ago, we had a grand total of 9 threat assessments throughout the entire school year. Fast forward to this year, and we pushed that up to 25. Now, most of those we were able to, better understand the situation, talk through with the students, make it a learning opportunity, right, and address it through home and through our response at school for all of those situations. But we're really seeing that we're having to kind of conduct a lot more of these assessments as the years have gone on. So again, wanting to make sure that we are supporting our staff that are supporting our students in this process.
Do you want us to hold our comments to the end of questions to the end?
Yes.
Okay, so I can say it now. Can you just give us, when you talk about threat assessments, can you break it down as to what the examples of those might be in case some of us?
Yeah, so a situation would be a student who made a comment or a threat in regards to harming themselves or someone else or others. So we have a process as a district that we obviously take all of those very seriously, but we've been seeing an increase in those comments or remarks or threats being made over the course of the last 3 years.
Thank you.
Does that explain that for you?
No, absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. I also wanted to share this diagram with you to also allow you to kind of visually see where conscious discipline plays into already the systems that we have in place. So this plays off of our MTSS model, and we really see conscious discipline as being kind of that building foundation for us. I referenced it as a tier 0. Really, it's providing just a common language and approach for all of our staff, whether classroom, ARC, lunchroom, playground, office, the RTC room, right? It's providing a common approach and common language for all of us, and then it naturally builds into our additional tiers that we have. So tier 1 being the lessons that we get from Heather Lewis that are wonderful and help us with that social emotional learning piece, the zones of regulation work that we've already been doing, the calm corners and calm rooms that we've implemented into our classroom and into the building. And then our building-wide PBIS system. So we see this continuing to support all of that work. Then when you go up another step to tier 2, the responsible thinking process and classroom, the behavior specialist that was just approved this evening is an additional support that would continue in that tier 2 piece, as well as small group instruction from our social worker. Then that tier 3 would be more one-on-one work with our social worker, potentially some behavior plans, again, potentially the use of our behavior specialist, and then that tier 4 would be more of our special education approach. So all of this is continuing to build off of each other.
So in regards to the professional learning plan, it's a 3-year plan, and phase 1 kicks off on opening day, August 15th, correct? Yep. And the very first day is an immersive experience. So they fly someone out from Conscious Discipline, and it's called Ignite and Excite, and it's about cultivating wellness and the school family. And so it's on-site, instructor-led training for all staff, and everyone's invited. Everyone's invited. It also includes that first year a 1-hour consultation with the principal and the CDAT team, which is our leadership team for Conscious Discipline. And there are 3 meetings over the course of the year, which will be really nice touch points. You know, what's going well? What questions do we still have? Where are we going from here? And then also, staff will be going through a Handling Upset e-course. And you can see to the right there all of the sessions. So there are 8 sessions. And it's that overview, and then all the way through to the brain states model that I mentioned at the beginning, talking about rewiring the brain for success and keys to self-regulation, and the last session being what's next. What are we going to do next year and the following year? I think that's all. Did you want to add to that?
Nope, we'll be really strategic in planning this around professional development and staff meetings. So that's when we'll really strategically, and we'll rely heavily on that CDAT team to kind of help with that planning and that process. So phase 2 and phase 3 continue to build off of each other. So phase 2 or year 2 would have another Ignite and Excite, again bringing a coach to us in August to kind of start and launch our next phase of Conscious Discipline. We'll again have some more of that time to meet with their classroom support and our leadership team to plan 3 times throughout that year, 1 hour each. Something new to phase 2 that we won't be experiencing yet in phase 1 will be an on-site coach. So they will send a coach for 2 days to Discovery, and that coach will push into classrooms and model problem solving and all of the approaches that we will be learning. They'll be modeling that with our staff, right there with them, pushing into the classroom. So that will be a 2-day process, and then we will also have some more e-course learning to do along the way. And then phase 3 or year 3 would again have an August Ignite and Excite, and then we bump down the hour consultation to 2 because we will be on that year 3 phase of planning. So we're planning that we wouldn't need as much time. And then again, we'll have that 2-day on-site coaching session. All right. Are there any questions that we can answer in regards to Conscious Discipline?
I have some. So as an educator, I'm wondering, and maybe there's not, I would like to know how well I'm doing, and usually there's an evaluation evaluation process to gauge like, okay, you're doing well, or here's some things that you can work on? And I understand that there's going to be on-site coaching that happens, right? Is there anything else, formal, I don't know what type of evaluation, if at any, there is with this?
So one of the things I wanted to highlight in answer to your question is that 45% fewer discipline referrals happen when conscious discipline is implemented. So that's like an average, 45% less discipline referrals. Now, is that going to happen exactly for us? We don't know, but that certainly would be a wonderful measure, data point that, you know, we would hope to see those referrals going down as their needs are met, as expectations and rules are clear and concise and consistent across all contexts. We would expect to see those go down. So that would be one measure that I would say.
So maybe an overall amongst the group, as opposed to more of an individual type.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
also think part of that leadership team's purpose will be kind of what are our metrics that we're using to, you know, what are our additional needs, what adjustments do we need to make, how are things going. I also think some pretty consistent checking in with staff, whether, you know, verbally or through survey of how are things going, and then again also with our students as well.
Now,
And
is
then-
this something that is only specific to early educators, or could this be adopted for maybe early childhood, or preschoolers, or all the way up to middle school and high school?
Yes, it doesn't have a
Yeah.
age
Yes.
requirement. Yep.
And the other thing I wanted to
Yeah,
mention
go ahead.
is just that another statistic, when we implement 100% increase in staff collegiality and positive school climate. So I think that would be a great measure too, that, you know, we're feeling more confident in what we're doing and handling the challenges that we've seen recently. And so I think 100%, I mean, that's a pretty good data point. So that would also be something we would hope to see and expect to see.
Yeah, and I'm sure during these check-ins, there will be staff feedback and ongoing conversations with what's going well, what our struggles, things like that, things that needs to be worked out.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, Amanda?
So it sounds like the staff has asked for more assistance in these areas, but this also sounds like a difficult training to go through, especially if you're having to look at yourself. So are you anticipating any, you know, people who don't, like, are you anticipating any negativity, or do you think it's just going to be good because this is what they've asked for?
I think our staff is just, they want something. They are willing to try anything. They really are asking for, like, what professional development, what can we get, what more can I do, what else can I learn? Are there gonna be growing pains? Is it gonna be an adjustment? Sure, for all of us, right? And I think that we're all really ready for that work, and we've started a lot of that work already this year. So, you know, would I like to stand here and say it'll be smooth sailing for everyone? You know, yes, but I think ultimately there's going to be some growing pains, some adjustments that we need to make. I think that'll be a great resource to have that leadership team, and then the consultation part, because we're not the only school going through this, right? So these are people who work with school districts and families for a living, and they coach these people, you know, coach all of the staff through that. So we'll rely heavily on their feedback, and then know who our staff are and how best to approach their needs and the needs of our students. But I think
And if I could add,
yes,
yes,
go ahead.
I was just going to add, Amanda, that's a really intuitive question, because it is not comfortable to look at ourselves and what we bring, but we are part of the equation in every interaction with every person that we interact with. And I think that having 3 years to progress through this together is a really big deal, and have that immersive experience with the guidance from the trained people, I think is a really good idea too. And I probably should have prefaced some of my comments with there's kind of a grassroots interest in conscious discipline among some of the staff of Discovery, and For the past 2 years, I've brought in principles of it in some of my work with staff as well, because it makes sense and it aligns with who we are and what we want to be. So it's not totally new, and there's a lot of support for it. But one teacher cried when she heard that this would probably be happening. You know who I mean? Yes. So, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Have you known about any other schools in the area that are using it, or did you have the opportunity to see it in action, this approach?
That's a good question. So what I know about it is right now I'm in a fellowship with CASEL, which is the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. And a lot of those schools are using it because it's a CASEL Select program, meaning it's been entirely vetted, it's evidence-based, and they support it. That's their highest distinction. They have 3 distinctions, like that's the highest, then there's like this is good, and then there's like this is okay, we still need more research on it, and it's the highest distinction. And so I'm in this fellowship with 43 educators across the country, and a lot of them use it, particularly in their lower L, from preschool usually to 5th grade. I mean, there isn't an age limit on it, but traditionally that's where it's used, and with great results.
What about a parent component?
Yes, no, it's actually pretty big, and that I think will be a really good thing for us. Yeah, there is a parent component to
Because
it.
I saw there was something happening before they come to school, so the parents would have to be on board with that, right?
That is a really good question.
But if the parents had some ongoing, like a support group for them to come to, that would be fabulous.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a really good point, because these principles are principles for parenting too. It's interaction with children, with adults. So I think it'll be really helpful to families. Yeah, there is a family component, and I'm really excited. I'm not an expert on it, but I'm excited to go through the training, and I know that there is a strong parental component as well.
And when we started the initial work with kind of learning about the different phases and what the training could look like for us, part of what was explained was how we approach this and how we include our families and our parents at home in this is really part of that 3-year phase. So we kind of have to become comfortable with it first, and then we'll start planning for what does this look like for families and sharing out that information with families as well.
So I have a question. So the program in itself is $51,000. Do we pay that all at one time, or is it on an annual basis? And are we allowed to reevaluate, say, like after the 2nd year, like we're not getting the 45, or because I would imagine, as Amanda said, you have to have buy-in from the teachers to help reduce, because it really is, I guess I feel like their reaction to the action in their classroom and having that more of a consistent long-term so that students can mirror their behavior off that. So how does that funding break down?
So we can do it either way, and my understanding is we would do it year by year.
Okay.
So yes, and there's room there to adjust as we might not need one of the things, or hey, this worked really good, could we tweak it, right? So so there's some flexibility in there.
Okay.
We structured it that way too with the proposal, so it's really designed to be a year at a time. So we're not asking for all the funding up front. We'll kind of move forward
Really is.
strategically and kind of see where we are
Yeah.
year to year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to superintendent's report, NWA MAC data.
Yeah, so a number of items to report out to the board this evening. The first, I just thought this was some very positive news. I think we've shown the board throughout a number of years that, and Mrs. Campbell has talked to, presented to the board as well, really the focus on mathematics at Explore and some opportunities that exist there. And this was just a really good snapshot of some progress that was made this year via the NWEA fall to spring comparison. What you have there is by grade level the percentage of students who reach their individual growth target. So the way that assessment works is there's a baseline done in the fall. The system projects then after an appropriate year of instruction and potentially tiered intervention support, depending on where they started from, where they should be able to get by the spring. And one of the things we're really doing is adjusting our evaluation metrics as part of our district school improvement assessment to really focus on students reaching their individualized goals, which again is based on the board's direction, with board goal number 1 being really focused on those individualized experiences. So you can see from this past year that Explore, 92% of the students at 3rd, 94% at 4th, and 95% at 5th grade on the NWA reached their individual growth targets, which is extremely impressive. You can also see in comparison to a variety of other area districts, how we did comparatively speaking. So also keep in mind though that our numbers are in their numbers. So if you pulled our numbers out, it's even more of a significant difference and positive impact that students received at Explore. So that math goal continues to be an area of focus there, but I think this is a really excellent data point that the building put together based on those data, and thought you just would be interested in seeing that.
Are the percentages you gave within the margin of error? I notice they're broken out in the document.
Yeah, I don't have what the margin of error would be, but what we were really looking at is, well, yeah, I don't know if I can talk more about that, because it's really by students. They just looked at the number of students, and then did they hit their target, yes or no? So there's really not a margin
So
of error, because it comes down to every individual student. So it's not based on yeah, it really just comes down to the number of students. You had X number of students, this number of students reached the goal, do the arithmetic there, and that gives you the percentage.
Fantastic.
Any other questions? I did just want to go back really quick to the conscious discipline, because this board is responsible for any curriculum that is done throughout our district. If you do have any questions on that, please reach out to Heather or Cassie about that, or Adam can point you in the right direction. But I want to make sure that we understand what that is before we move forward with it.
But this isn't curriculum, right?
Right, so this was
It's
really
just for
brought to you
teachers.
because as the building has presented to the board, and as you're aware from this year in particular, but really the challenges at the early childhood level that we've seen with social emotional learning since coming out back to school from COVID. You know, we need to continue to focus resources there, and this is part of their school improvement goal, and by association, the district improvement goal. So it's a philosophy, and we really wanted the board to understand this philosophical addition to the building in support of their already standing MTSS PBIS support structure.
That's true, but it's also going to come to us for financial implications, so this will be up for approval for that purpose. So if you do have questions, please reach out before our next meeting.
I mean, the website, Conscious Discipline website is, I mean, it's very expansive. I went there a couple times and kind of looked over, so if you guys have any, it literally is consciousisdiscipline.com.
There is a
It's the same logo,
curricular,
so I was like, I guess this is it, so if I should research, this is where I go.
there's a curricular aspect to the overall structure, and Dr. Cook will be talking more about that. It's a very focused curricular
Mhm.
addition, but that'll come up here in a little bit.
This number, okay.
All right. Sorry, you can go. Dog team statistics.
So the working down team statistics, as you know, the contract renewal with Zebra K9 is up for an extension this evening, and I thought the board might be of interest to the board to kind of see their total impact over the course of this school year. As you can see, they have been busy in a variety of different forms, both the safety aspect, but then again, keeping in with the theme here, the social emotional support aspect as well.
And this doesn't even count the steps that they do, going from.
Yeah,
within
there's
the
a lot of
buildings and-
there's a
yeah.
lot of other interactions that are
Yeah.
beneficial
Yeah.
that won't be listed here. Zebra has hired the new handler, and she's got a very appropriate background and experiences, and we'll be working with Gemini over the summer, and look forward to having them back pending your approval of the contract this evening.
Any questions?
What are student escorts?
Those are typically when a student would benefit from having the dog walk with them, and there's a variety of different reasons that could be. You know, kind of again, keeping in with the theme of the evening, you could have an extremely dysregulated lower elementary student, and that could be what it takes to get them to walk down the hall and go to class or go back to class, or just to calm down and spend some time sitting on the floor with the dog. So there's a variety of different things. It might look a little different at the high school, but student escorts are actually have been a nice byproduct. Not something we were really looking for the team to do, but it's been successful.
All right, long list of summer projects. There probably is more on here now than when you gave it to us.
Yeah, so summer projects, most of these I think you'll be familiar with, and we presented these to the Finance and Facilities Committee, it was probably about a month ago now. So not a whole lot of changes there, but a couple things to note. The paving, that's kind of the main effort this year, so we're really doing a lot of paving. The board's already approved this and seen the areas that's taking place. In fact, it's just started a little while ago over at the elementary campus, so the trucks are out there now tearing out the pavement around the bus loop. That's the first phase of that summer project, and we're really, as you know, focusing on areas that won't be addressed via the bond. So middle school, one of the parking entrances into the high school, and then the loop at the elementary campus. A number of safety items, the cameras, the upgraded security cameras, those were installed last week, so that project's done, and that'll allow us to run Zero Eyes, our gun detection software that we received with the grant back in the spring through those cameras. We're also going to be upgrading our radio system to from analog to digital, and that we do a monthly radio check to ensure that the radios work throughout the district in the event of an emergency or an urgent situation. But adding a digital repeater will allow us to upgrade the radios and improve the consistency of the communication with our existing radios. A major focus at the high school that Heather Lewis is also involved in is the creation of a comm room that's going to be the high school equivalent of the responsible thinking classroom, but it's going to look different because it's at the high school. And I think I've mentioned this before, but it's primarily designed as that tier 1 intervention for students needing some support. It's not something, and what that is will fluctuate based on student need, but its primary design is a place where students can go to decompress, take a break, be in a safe place. If they need it, access adult support, but not in every case. And so the creation of that room, really redesigning that space to be a place that's inviting the students. Heather has led a group of staff and students that have asked kids at the high school, like, what do you want this place to be and what don't you want it to be? And so based on that feedback, that project is going to take place over the summer, and something that I'm also looking forward to. And then again, we've mentioned this one, and I'm just picking some of the highlights that I feel are most profound. The drinking fountains throughout the district, over the last several years, we have started to take those down or shut them off. And that project will be completed this summer with the last remaining traditional drinking fountains to either be replaced or completely shut off, and then adding in new bottle fillers in their place. The one exception is here at the 7th grade wing at the middle school. We've had a water fountain that's been shut down for many, many years, and they're actually going to pull the entire water fountain out and then all the supporting piping that's connected to it and change the entire thing, and then put in a bottle filler there. All those will have the lead filters on them, and so if it's a place where you're supposed to be getting access to water during the day, we will be 100% compliant with that well in advance of the state mandate. As you know, we've been working on this for years, even before there was a law. So well ahead of the curve there, and then we'll proceed based on any other requirements from the law. But what our primary focus was is if it's a place you're supposed to be getting water to drink, it's running through a filter, and all those old water fountains that we have will be shut off or removed by the end of the summer. The only item that is not represented on this list, and this actually came out at the very end of last week, we are going to use $25,000, which is under the bidding threshold, but just so you're aware, $25,000 of sinking fund money to replace seals on the sprinkler system at Discovery. We had a fire system inspection last week. The system works fine, but they found that there's some seals that are starting to erode that could lead to leaks, and so we're going to invest in repairing those over the course of the summer from sinking fund and making sure those are good to go for the fall. Any questions I could address on summer projects?
A long list.
As always, Mr. Weingartz will be here in August to show photos before and after and kind of see what that looks like. And then, as always, in the fall, we always update the sinking fund page so the community can see what their investment in that sinking fund yielded in terms of the improvements that were made to the school.
And I'm sure they got to work at 12:16 last day of school, because that's just what our maintenance staff does. They have a long list and they get checking it off right away. So kudos to them and thank you. I know that the summer is filled with a lot going on and we really appreciate all of their hard work. All right, any other questions, comments? All right, Matt's Law.
So Matt's Law reporting, we bring this data to the board annually, and there's a much more detailed report that gets submitted to the state, but these are the highlights. So just for some comparative purposes, I like to kind of look back and see if any of these data have fluctuated significantly in the past couple of years. And for the most part, we're in the same general ballpark. And again, there's a lot of subjectivity to this. And every circumstance is also unique, and how it's addressed is unique. And the goal is obviously addressing the behaviors, or if it's a safety piece, being able to respond to that in an efficient and effective manner. So this year, just to point out the two stats that are with the highest numbers of any of the other items listed. We had 30 reported instances district-wide of bullying and 81 total unique suspensions. That's not days of suspension, that's 81 disciplinary actions that resulted in suspension. To put that in comparison to last year, we had 39 instances of bullying and 75 suspensions. So in the same general ballpark. And then if we go back pre-COVID, I grabbed 2019 as an example, 53 instances of bullying and 70 suspensions. So more bullying then, fewer suspensions, but again, they're all kind of in the same ballpark. And again, I don't know if the total numbers really mean as much as the response to those individual and unique circumstances as kids occasionally make these poor choices, and our team responds to provide support to the student that in some cases might be the victim of those actions, and make sure that the student that made those poor decisions is appropriately addressed, whatever that might be, given the circumstance and the age of the student. Any questions I could address regarding the summary document?
I just have a question about bullying. Are the elementary numbers so low because they are addressing bullying as part of a program, and then there's not anything for middle school and high school, because it looks like the numbers go up, and you would think the numbers would go down as they mature and understand the consequences of bullying? I mean, it kind of looks like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can just tell you that it's really unique to the individual circumstance, but from my recollection, this is pretty typical. We're going to have less at the elementary, and it's actually going to become more. One of the things too is that students, unfortunately, at the secondary level, sometimes those are more intentional, and elementary students, they can be very spur of the moment sometimes in terms of how they respond to things. And so trying to, quote unquote, prove bullying with a dysregulated lower elementary student is a little bit more challenging than an intentional action made by a student at the secondary who's thought something like that through and is specifically targeting another student repeatedly. There's a known power imbalance, those types of factors that play into it. But again, there's always going to be subjectivity into this report. It's done by folks across the district. They're looking at unique circumstances, and these are kind of the way they've tracked this. The numbers to me, again, aren't as important as did we appropriately address each unique situation as it became evident throughout the course of the year.
Any other questions? All right, school improvement plan.
So this will be first formal presentation, so to speak, of the district, well, it's really the school improvement plans. Although you've seen a preview of these in the previous school improvement updates that were provided by the buildings over the last month or so. To mirror and support the board's updated board goals, we tried a slightly new process this year, and the focus was really trying to do less better. If you can think back to what the old district and school improvement plans look like, they were really honed in on the things that the board had prioritized in its goals. But there was a lot of stuff, a lot of writing. It was a lot to go through. What I really wanted to do this year was encourage the buildings to prioritize what are the most important things that you aim to accomplish over the next 3 years. It's not that we're not maintaining other things that are important, but really, what are you going to spend your very precious professional development time to try to get better at? Remember, buildings get a total of 30 hours a year of district-provided professional development. So that means over the life of the board's goals, that's 90 hours total. That's it. And so trying to, again, really identify those items and make sure that we're doing less better. So one of the exercises we did as a district leadership team, and the schools were participating in this, is kind of list out all the initiatives they had, and some of them went on for a couple pages, and then really try to rank those. Like, which one of those initiatives are you going to maintain, and which ones are you really going to go after trying to improve upon? And so the other component with that was I wanted the buildings to identify gaps in resources. And so you've seen one already actually two already this evening, with the conscious discipline and the hiring of the behavior specialist at Discovery. There'll be a third when Dr. Cook talks about slumberkins. And so really that gap analysis in terms of what resources do you not have right now that you need to make your plan effective. In the high school context, having the responsible, they're going to call it a student success coordinator. At the other buildings, it's called a responsible thinking coordinator. But having that person present with the comm room to kind of help facilitate that and be that tier one. So that's another example of identifying those resources. So some themes that you'll see through these, pre-K-8, it's very much a focus on math, literacy, and social emotional learning. I know it seems like a no-brainer, but there's so many other important things going on throughout the day that our staff are doing. And so, really honing it down to those three, setting aside, pushing forward on some other items. Again, not discarding them, but really putting them to the side in terms of the total amount of focus. You'll see throughout all the plans that we really tried to focus this on outcomes in terms of the evaluation metrics versus inputs. Inputs are important prerequisites, but what I really wanted to see is, are we able to measure these and determine whether or not they were successful or not? And then, so you'll see, like we talked about actually in the Explorer data, a lot of focus on those individual growth targets. So it's each individual student achieving where the assessments are predicting they should be able to get to. And if not, why? And then what can we do differently the next time to ensure that doesn't happen for each individual student and make sure that they're successful. And then another piece that the board has talked about quite a bit, both during your board goals workshop and then since then, are soliciting feedback from students, parents, and staff. And so you'll see throughout those goals, and to include the high school, there's a focus on making sure that we're hearing from parents, we're hearing from staff, and that we're entertaining student voice as part of the evaluation of these initiatives. At the high school, because the high school is always unique in terms of what their focus is, obviously there's a transition that takes place at the high school, really making sure that we're pushing students through the finish line and allowing them to graduate and move on to that next chapter. So you'll see a focus on the individualized education track. Dr. Delp talked about this during his presentation at length a month or so ago. The continued focus on common grading, and also the updated social emotional learning approach that again includes surveys and making sure that we're soliciting student voice. I would say by extension that also includes, as was brought up at our last meeting, that feedback on smart devices and how those, the role those play during the school day and then the overall learning experience. So I'm not going to go through each one of them, but in summary, those are kind of the big key points, some themes, and the way we're going to try to approach this over the next 3 years at the building level to support the goals that the board has established. Are there any questions that I could address on the school improvement plans?
I know it's a lot of information, but this does relate back to not only, bless you, the mission of our district and the vision, but directly to our board goals. So please look over this document, and if you do have any questions, please reach out to Adam. He will answer all of those or discuss further with you.
One more item to touch on. I think I've addressed all the board requests from the last meeting with the exception of the universal pre-K versus young fives. There's a meeting tomorrow where we're going to start to look into that. That's going to probably take some time to project what the long-term implications of that are. But we're also looking at more near-term ages of students entering preschool, young fives, and kindergarten, and how that connects into our school of choice applications, which will close at the end of this week, and we'll have to start making decisions on accepting next week. So there's a lot to that. So we're going to start kind of grinding through some of those conversations, and I don't know when I'll have a really finite answer to that, because some of it is remains to be determined. But we are starting the conversation, and I can keep you updated as I learn more. Otherwise, upcoming events and presentations, just a reminder, on the 15th of July at 6, we have the special meeting for that month here at the middle school. So that's it for my report, unless there's anything else I can address.
All right, we do not have any board committee reports. So moving on to discussion items, and we have Dr. Cook to talk to us about Slumberkins.
Good evening. Tonight I'm presenting on Slumberkins, and it is a cell product for young students, but I do want to mention it is a curriculum, because I know that's been something that we talked about tonight. So what I'm presenting is what is Slumberkins. The name itself is kind of a cutesy name, so you can tell it's for young children. The rationale, the selection process, program details so that you can understand better what it is, example of a lesson, materials and costs, and then of course I'm asking for your recommendation, and I will take any questions or comments after. So what is Slumberkins? Slumberkins is a comprehensive program which was designed by teachers and therapists to be an easy and powerful tool for emotional regulation and feeling identification. I have provided the links for you in your PowerPoint for the educator brochure as well as the social emotional development menu so that you can review that. The curriculum teaches students to name, notice, and welcome their feelings, practice self-awareness and emotional regulation strategies, learn and apply social communication skills, develop positive relationships, skills in practice with others when they're in classes, and build connection within their classroom community. So the rationale for why we picked Slumberkins, this program better meets the needs of our students who are in the Therapeutic Learning Center, which had a different name, the IBER room, now it's the TLC room, than our Tier 1 curriculum. The Slumberkin curriculum uses evidence-based practices from the field of education and psychology for a powerful and useful classroom experience. The curriculum does focus on connecting, reflecting, practicing, and growing. It targets 4 social emotional learning areas, build healthy core beliefs, supports emotional skill building, it develops empathy for others, and promotes meaningful connection. That's its goal.
Just real quickly, is the board familiar with because the name just changed, I'll make sure I got it right, Therapeutic Learning Center? All right, so that's the new structure we put in place this year, kind of built it during the year. But the goal there was to have a structure that's allowing more intensive support for students that need to learn the prerequisite social, emotional, behavioral skills to be successful at school. So, kind of think about the traditional approach. We get brand new 5-year-olds, throw them into school, and we just expect that to work, like they're going to be fine. And that's obviously not always the case. And so this is a structure that's going to really provide a high level of support to front load those prerequisite skill sets so that then those students can return and be successful in what we would refer to as a normal or traditional classroom environment. So it's a very intense tiered support system. It's not designed to be there forever, but we want to get the kids out of there and back to the classrooms as quickly as possible. But I just want to make sure that you can connect that back to what the structure is, because it was very new and it evolved over the course of the year.
So Slumberkins is a Tier 4 intervention, so it's for our special education students. Discovery has many tiers, as you can see, in place for students who are in need of more support. Through the tier triangle, everyday speech is being utilized by the school social worker as a Tier 2, a Tier 3, and a Tier 4 intervention. This past year, it was determined that a more intentional program was needed for the TLC room. Slumberkins will be an exclusive Tier 4 intervention to be taught by the classroom teacher in daily classroom lesson format. So to give you an idea, this comprehensive program was designed by teachers, as I said, and therapists to be an easy yet powerful tool for emotional regulation and feeling identification. With this curriculum set, children will learn to name, notice, and welcome their feelings, practice self-awareness and emotional regulation strategies, learn and apply social communication skills, develop positive relationship skills, and build connections within their classroom community. So the selection process, Mrs. Shannon looked at various other social emotional learning programs, but she did not find one that met the needs of her students equal to Slumberkins. Mrs. Shannon piloted some of the lessons from the online subscription she received and felt that they matched the students' level of understanding. The students showed active engagement in each of the lessons that were viewed. Paper's thick. Program details. The curriculum offers an adaptive early emotional learning curriculum with over 18 easy-to-prepare unit plans designed for individual, small group, and a whole class setting. Slumberkins is CASEL-aligned, trauma-informed, and includes evidence-based best practices. They offer scripted lessons, activities, engaging video content, classroom visuals to build and support strategies for emotional intelligence and regulation. Comprehensive lesson sets offer both detail and depth. The lessons were created with a trauma-informed lens. The program encourages honoring, trusting, and welcoming emotions to build long-lasting emotional regulation skills, as opposed to focusing on just behavior intervention strategies. So the example of a lesson, each unit builds lessons that build upon each other. They are relevant to the experiences students will have during the school day. They teach the student what to do in different scenarios, and they provide modeling for the student in how to handle their feelings during the different situations. The cost of the KINS Educator Set, which includes all that puppet tiers that you saw and has books, is $830. It will include 15 core line KINS, the animals in the pocket holders, their coordinating big book, and affirmation cards on the feelings that each represent. At renewal, there will be an additional $160 subscription fee for the online portal. We were able to receive that free during Teacher Appreciation Week for the entire school year. The The Slumberkins curriculum is recommended to be adopted to provide a standard evidence-based intervention tool for social emotional learning. It is to be used with students who have big emotions and are struggling with their ability to regulate them within the school setting. Any comments or questions that you have for me?
So this might not be super germane, but what does trauma-informed mean in this context?
So trauma-informed is when a student unfortunately has had an experience outside of school, usually due to family death or other situations, and they come to us already with trauma. They've already experienced that in their young little life. And so that forms the way that they form relationships or their big emotions are expressed. And so that is what trauma-informed practice is. We try to work with what we know about them and how to dissipate those big feelings or to be able to have them handle it in a better manner.
Thank you.
We did a book study. Remember, there's always a research base for what we're doing here, right? So we did a book study, started pre-COVID, and then took a pause for obvious reasons. And then we went back and did it another year. The book was called Help for Billy, and it was read K-12, and it really helps get you into the mindset of what students are, a student who has experienced multiple instances of trauma or multiple trauma indicators, depending on their life, and why they're acting the way they are based on certain stimuli or certain events that happen during the day that most of us would say, well, that wasn't a big deal. Well, for them, it could be a huge deal. And so really trying to, I don't know that we could ever really put ourselves in their shoes, but at least kind of have that mindset, that overview to try to understand where these kids are coming from when they're expressing themselves in that way.
Yeah.
And Dr. Cook's brought in speakers, a lot of folks with a lot of information on that's helped inform our ancillary staff in terms of how we engage with kids that are experiencing those types of things in their lives.
Yeah, I think Dave, here's an example too that think about that they say that kids, come in and say they went from 0 to 10, right? But they're actually coming into school at an 8. But we don't see that, and that is a good visual.
I like that. Thank you.
How trauma can affect our kids and how we deal with that. And so I think about that all the time working with kids. We don't know what they just came from, and they're probably at an 8. Yeah, they didn't start at a 0. Any other questions that I can answer?
How many students did we have? I know this was a new room that just started towards the end of last year. How many students were enrolled in the Therapeutic Learning Center?
So there were 4 and 5, ended up, but that was an addition. It originally started with 4. Yeah, and they're young learners.
Christy Shannon did a great job. I mean, you can imagine, middle of the year, right? We had a goal back in September to have it up and running after Thanksgiving, which we did. But a lot of the heavy lift fell on her to try to build that structure during the school year. And she did a great job, but we found out lessons learned as the year continued and things we had to adjust. And so we're including the name of the actual name of the room. So we're really looking forward to kind of coming into next year with a better understanding of what's needed to make that system work.
As far as social emotional learning, we do have the tiers as you saw, but this is very specific to young learners with big emotions. So it was kind of neat. We went through training ourselves just with the Slumberkins product, and it was nice to be able to walk through that and see, because sometimes the young children can't even identify why they're feeling a certain way or why they're reacting that way. So, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks.
All right, please reach out to Michelle if you have any other questions.
It'll move to action.
All right, this will be up for action at our special meeting on July 15th. closed session for negotiations. This is a roll call vote. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Move that we go into closed session.
Second?
First by Dave, second by Deb. Any discussion? Amanda, please take us through roll call.
Amanda, yes? Dave?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And Sarah?
Yes.
Motion to go into closed session passes unanimously.
We shall return when we are done. Thank you. motion to come out of closed session?
Motion to come out of closed session?
Second.
Motion by Julie, second by Dave. Any discussion? All right, please take us through the roll call, Amanda.
Amanda, yes. Dave?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And Sarah?
Yes.
Motion passes to go on closed session.
All right, thank you. Moving on to action items, may I have a motion for approval of the minutes from our last board meeting?
Move that the Williamston Board of Education approve the minutes for the regular meeting held on June 3rd, 2024 as presented.
Second?
Second by, or first by Dave, second by Julie. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have several roll call vote items. The first, may I have a motion for approval of the general fund appropriation resolution?
I move that the Williamston Board of Education approves 2023-2024 final budget amendment.
Second.
Motion by Julie, second by Dave. Any discussion? Please take us through roll call, Amanda.
Amanda, yes. Dave?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And Sarah?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, can I get a motion for approval of the general fund appropriation resolution for 2024-25? The first one was for 23-24.
Move the Williamston Board of Education approve the 2024-25 general fund.
I second it.
First by Dave, second by Deb. Any discussion? All those in, oh, sorry. Please take us through roll call, Amanda.
Amanda, yes. Dave?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And Sarah?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Can I get a motion for approval of the 24-25 food service fund?
I move that the Williamston Board of Education approve the 2024-25 food service fund.
Second.
First by Julie, second by Dave. Any discussion? All right, please take us through roll call, Amanda.
Amanda, yes. Dave?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And Sarah?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Can I get a motion for approval of the 24-25 community services fund?
Move the Williamston Board of Education approve the 2024-25 community services fund.
Second?
First by Dave, second by Amanda. Any discussion? Okay.
Amanda, yes. Dave?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And Sarah?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next, can I get a motion for approval of the 24-25 special revenue fund?
Move that the Williamston Board of Education approve the 2024-25 special revenue fund.
Second?
First by Dave, second by Deb. Any discussion?
Amanda, yes. Dave?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And Sarah?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Can I get a motion for approval of the 24L-4029 summer tax rate request?
I make a motion that the Williamston Board of Education hereby certifies the following tax levies for 2024 summer property tax collections. City of Williamston and Meridian Township only, 8.8851 mils for general operations, non-homestead only, 0.90 mils for the 1996 debt, 0.90 mils for the 2015 Series A debt, 1.60 mils for the 2019 refunding, 0.52 mils for the 2021 refunding, 0.3657 mils for the recreation millage, 0.4909 mils for the sinking fund.
Second?
First by Deb, second by Amanda. Any discussion?
Amanda, yes. Dave?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And Sarah?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And the final roll call item, can I get a motion for approval of the contract for Williamston Custodial and Maintenance Association?
Make a motion that we approve the contract for the Williamston Custodial and Maintenance Association.
Second.
First by Deb, second by Dave. Any discussion? All right, Amanda?
Amanda, yes. Dave?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And Sarah?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you, everyone. Now on to separate action items. Can I get a motion for approval of Kids Corner Little Hornets 24-25 family and employee handbooks?
I move that the Williamston Board of Education approve the Kids Corner and Little Hornets 2024-25 family and employee handbooks as presented.
Second?
First by Julie, second by Deb. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, can I get a motion for approval of the 24 through 27 contract for Zebra Canine Detection Dog Team?
I move that we approve the 2024 to 27 contract for the Zebra Canine Detection Dog Team.
Second?
First by Deb, second by Amanda. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, may I please have a motion for approval of the 24-25 food service management cooperation agreement?
Move that the Williamston Community Schools Board of Education approve the food service management cooperation agreement with Hazlet Public Schools as presented.
Second?
First by Dave, second by Deb. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, can I get a motion for approval of the 24-25 Michigan High School Athletic Association membership resolution?
I move that the Williamston Community Schools Board of Education approve resolution to be a member part of the Michigan High School Athletic Association for the 24-25 school year and directs Dr. Adam Spina, superintendent, to sign the agreement.
I second it.
Motion by Julie, second by Deb. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, moving on, can I get an approval for board policies to add?
Move that the Williamston Board of Education add policy 8043, enrollment in kindergarten.
Second it.
Motion by Dave, second by Deb. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Can I get a motion for approval of board policies to revise?
I move that the Williamston Board of Education revise the following policies as presented. 1032, board powers and general powers. 4350, student transportation and private vehicles. 7050, instructional program and curriculum development. 7175, parent involvement in education. 7350, textbook adoption and instructional resources. 7630, graduation requirements. 7630R, graduation requirements, personnel curriculum. 8040, student enrollment and withdrawal, and 9230, school volunteers.
I second it.
I heard Deb. First by Julie, second by Deb. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and then can I get a motion for approval of board policies to remove?
Move that the Williamston Board of Education remove the following policies. 4350-R, student transportation and private vehicle. 7052, multicultural education. 7175R, parent involvement in school program. 7500, guidance program. 7700, evaluation of instructional program. 7770, teaching about religion. 7800, school ceremonies and observations.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Dave, second by Deb. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. I know we haven't had that many in a long time, so I appreciate your due diligence in getting your questions answered, and knowing what each of those were. Of course, next is review of board goals, and we did have 2 letters of correspondence. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I'd just like to congratulate Peggy Kerr on her retirement. Peggy kind of worked, behind the scenes somewhat because she was exclusively at St. Mary's and St. Martha's, where she served students for many years as both a physical education teacher and a librarian. Had fantastic relationships with the staffs there and the school communities, and we wish her well in her next chapter, and look forward to seeing her around as well. She's a very nice person and has made significant contributions to the district by way of the parochial partnerships for a long time.
All right, that brings the second citizen comments on our agenda. Oh, Mr. Ellis.
I've been coming here for 2 years, and I figure it's time for me to make a comment. So, hi, my name is Johnny Ellis, or Jonathan Ellis, and I live at 1285 Cambridge Circle. And I have 2 points. One, I would like, I noticed in the minutes last meeting that Dr. Lewis had inquired at the end of the meeting about staff members being able to confer diplomas upon their students. And I would encourage the board to explore that as a staff member who had 2 daughters graduate from Williamston. My older daughter, Jenna, was in the class of 2020, and so I did not have that opportunity to participate in the commencement. As the class advisor, and some of you were at this commencement, I was able to read the names of the seniors as they came across, much like Mrs. Billy and Ms. Mitchell were able to do this last commencement. And I'm not gonna lie, when Maya came across the stage, I cried, because it was really, really highly emotional. And I got that opportunity, and it was really meaningful that I got to make that connection. When you grow up I grew up in the same district as my parents, and when you are a teacher in the same district with your students, that's a really very special and unique situation. And so I don't know if there's any staff members who have a burning desire to hand the diploma over, but I would encourage that to be explored because I do think it's an amazing opportunity and an honor and a celebration for the parent and the student. And the second point, I believe there's at least 2 people in this room who are going to be in the dunk tank for Jubilee. And I think so. Only one, only 2, only one. I think there's 2 of us. All right. So anyway, one of us is Thursday night at 6 p.m., but I'm not saying that out loud. All right, so.
I was gonna say, you let us know.
I don't know. I've heard rumors. I'm not saying anybody. I will be there on Thursday night at 6. So anyway, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a hot week, so it'll be okay.
Yeah, right. You might want to be done. All right, any other citizens?
That bucket of water might be warm by 6 o'clock at night.
Feel like bath water.
Are there any board member reports or requests? I just wanted to say congratulations on the end of the school year for our staff. It's such an exciting time. I hope you enjoy your break in quotations, right? But your time away from the district, I hope, is well spent, whether it's traveling, being with family, or just staying home, right? That you enjoy your time with your loved ones, your family, or with yourself. Secondly, I was there the last day of school at the elementary school, and it's always a really special time when that last bus leaves. All the kids are hanging out not hanging out of the windows, but at the windows of the buses, waving and cheering and celebrating along with our staff. And at the end, I got to witness our 2 retirees at the elementary school doing their lap. And Adam told me that their lap around the circle is a well-established tradition over the year. And I had no idea. I thought that was such a unique and really cool experience. And I'm so touched that I was able to be there with our staff, and how exciting and rewarding time it is for everyone within our district. So wish everyone a wonderful summer. We will be back as a board on the 15th of July for that special board meeting. Otherwise, we won't have any for about a month now. So if you have questions, just reach out to Adam or get in touch with any of those that presented, whether it was tonight or other times. Okay. With that, I will take a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Julie, second by Deb. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you so much. We are adjourned. Enjoy the rest of your evening.